Hello and welcome to our new video series about health AI. Today we start the series off with the first part about the history of AI in general and then more about the possibilities in health. So what is AI? Everybody is talking about it, but what is really behind this myth? So let's start off with a short definition. AI enables software systems and computers to perform complex tasks without predefining every single step. AI was already basically invented a very long time ago. In 1936, Alan Turing invented his so-called Turing machine. The so-called Turing machine was able to execute cognitive processes represented by an algorithm. This means that Turing laid the foundation for what we call AI today. Today, AI is a young branch of computer science, basically, which revolves around the very interesting question, can a machine think? Generally, the history of AI moved in waves. So, for example, in the early 1980s, there was a wave of commercialization. That means that many companies invested in AI and that the market for AI in the US grew from a few million to several billion US dollars in only 8 years. A few years later, many of these companies didn't exist anymore because they couldn't deliver on their promises. Their systems and their software were simply too error-prone and too expensive. After a long dry spell in the 90s, AI came up again in the 2000s. From the year 2000 onwards, many companies invested in it and there was much more data available. This is what we call big data. So early approaches relied on manually annotated data and algorithms, and now the companies realized the more data available, the better the learning results. So what is the situation today? From 2010 onwards, AI really reached everyday life. A good example is the system Watson by IBM. IBM developed a system that now understands natural language and answers questions in a very short time. For example, it can help doctors with diagnoses, or it can help financial advisors with their questions. Also, other companies, of course, invested heavily into AI. Google, Amazon, Facebook, they all offer AI services. So what are the applications in the health sector? Although Ted Shortliff already proved in 1972 that AI could be used to treat diseases, it wasn't adopted in the health sector for a very long time. The health industry is a clear laggard behind other industries like, for example, oil and gas, real estate, or even government in adopting digital technologies. This is mainly because doctors have a fear of being replaced by AI. Health AI is just another tool for them to diagnose diseases more efficiently, for example, like an X-ray. Artificial intelligence is already changing everyday life in hospitals and providing better care for patients. For example, it helps in early diagnosis of heart disease, cancer, and dementia. This technology is especially proving its value in 3 areas. The first one is imaging. It can help doctors evaluating X-ray images, for example. The second one is decision making, and the third one is self-monitoring. For example, patients can use wearables, which they normally use as fitness trackers, to evaluate values in chronic diseases. Overall, skepticism about health AI is nothing new. Patients have been reluctant in adopting medical AI out of fear of data privacy concerns, for example, or because they fear that they won't get individualized treatment. However, this is not a limitation of the technology. The real benefit of the technology is to help doctors base their decisions on huge amounts of data which they couldn't process themselves. AI is the key technology for the future, especially in the health sector. It can provide better care for patients, more individualized care, and also reduce healthcare spending by billions of euros alone in Europe in the next 10 years. At Audiering, we turn this vision into a reality. So make sure to visit our website audiering.com. So this was the first part of our Health AI series. Don't miss the next one and make sure to tune in again. See you!